Hey everybody. About 7 months ago, I set up an experiment to find out if I could establish a denitrifying colony of bacteria in a deep sand bed in a very basic setup. And today we are going to go over my final thoughts and my conclusions on my experiments. I've been doing it for about 7 months now, and so far I have not seen anything to indicate that anything out of the ordinary is happening. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, we can have a very brief look at the tank. There's no reason to really sit in front of the tank and talk about it. It's kind of basic and simple. The sand that you see is sand that was collected from the stream where I also caught the bulk of the fish that are in the tank. There are some loaches in there that I added later, but those are just native fish, and that is natural gravel and sand that I pulled from the stream where I got the fish. And the idea was to set up a very, very simple deep sand bed. I'm not trying to establish whether or not you can denitrify a tank by putting multiple layers of substrate in there and adding laterite and putting plants and all that kind of stuff. I know that can be done. That was not the purpose of this experiment. The only thing I wanted to find out was, will a deep sand bed create an anoxic or anaerobic environment where denitrifying bacteria would then grow, and therefore the nitrate in my tank would either not accumulate, or it would accumulate at a very, very slow rate or something. And again, I've already sort of come to my conclusion, which is that I can seriously tell no difference whatsoever between that tank or any other tank I've set up, whether it's a fairly deep sand bed or whether I've got plants in the tank. None of it. It just doesn't matter. I see no difference whatsoever. So my conclusions are not necessarily definitive. If I, put some of that bacteria in the tank, could I get it established at some point or something? I don't know, maybe. But the idea that just putting a deep sand bed in your tank is going to have any impact on that tank whatsoever, in my experience now, and I've done this on 2 different tanks. I currently have a tank that's permanently set up with a deep sand bed in it, and that does have a few small plants and a little bit of woodwork, and so I didn't really want to think about that tank as an experiment because it has variables in it. I wanted to do a tank that only had a deep sand bed and some rocks in it and nothing else. And in either case, whether it was that tank with only the sand or the tank with the woodwork and the few plants, again, I can simply tell no difference whatsoever. The nitrate just climbs at an even pace, and once every couple of weeks I still have to do a water change. No difference whatsoever to my quarantine tank that's a bare glass bottom tank. So again, in my experience, having that deep sand bed in there is doing nothing but wasting space. That's 4 inches of water I could have in the tank where the fish could be swimming in that area, rather than just having that much sand uselessly sitting at the bottom of my tank. Now, furthermore, I want to go into the idea that if it had worked, if I had been able to establish some denitrifying bacterial colonies in there, to what benefit would that really have been? If the only thing that it's going to do is remove the nitrate from the tank, then I'm still going to have to do regular water changes. Water changes are not only to remove nitrate. Checking our nitrate is just a nice, easy way to keep an idea of what's going on within our tank. But we do water changes for a lot of different reasons. It has to do with the water hardness and the pH and the mineralization within the water's redox potential. There's a lot of aspects to doing a water change that don't involve nitrate in any way whatsoever. Furthermore, the nitrate itself isn't particularly harmful to the fish until you get to ridiculously high amounts, like hundreds of parts per million, before you have to worry about it having any impact on your fish. So going through all this process and setting up this deep sand bed, if the only thing that it accomplished was simply removing some harmless nitrate out of the tank, which would then reduce my ability to sort of keep a check on the tank, I'd still have to do water changes. I'm not seeing it. I really just genuinely do not see what the purpose of having a denitrifying sand bed in your tank is. Now again, if you've got layers, stratified soil and a dirted tank, and you got plants in there with all sorts of root tabs and all that, and you've got this more complex, sophisticated system that is utilizing the nutrients and dissolved solids and whatnot in the tank, and you're remineralizing the water as you go. Again, that is a very much more sophisticated and complex system. That's not what I was trying to establish. I was trying to establish whether or not a simple deep sand bed would be some sort of benefit to the tank in any way. And as of my experiments, 7 months in now, and I still see absolutely no difference to any of my other tanks. And that's, you know, again, just my experience. If you've had a different experience, I'd be interested to hear it. But from my point of view, from now on, I'm no longer even going to worry about messing with deep sand beds and all that kind of stuff. A simple, 2 inches or 1.5 inches of gravel at the bottom, enough for me to get some shallow rooted plants in it, enough for some rocks to settle into it and look nice, and just enough to be some gravel on the bottom so that it doesn't look like glass. I want it to look like a substrated bottom, but that's all I need. I am not getting any kind of benefit whatsoever from having these deep sand beds. I'm not convinced. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's a waste of space, and I won't be doing it anymore. So again, I'd be interested to hear your experiences, your thoughts, whatever. Leave them in the comment section down below. Don't forget, I do a live stream every Friday night and Sunday night Friday nights I do it at 8 p.m. and I'm now doing my Sunday night live streams at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so that my friends across the pond will have a slightly earlier start time on my Sunday night live stream. So Sunday night we do a discussion on a topic, and Friday night is sort of open chat about whatever, and then I do a members only live stream on Wednesday night. So if you're interested in that, you can check out the membership. The basic membership will get you access to the Wednesday night members only live stream. So otherwise, make sure you subscribe, ring that bell, hit that like button, all that good YouTube stuff. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you real soon in the next one.